Hi. I wanted to talk through some of the things when I'm looking at what you've written. And this, by the way, I think is really, really nicely written. This is the case brief in Re Griffiths. And the issue was whether the Connecticut State Bar Examining Committee rule, which denied resident aliens permission to sit for the state bar examination solely because there were not A citizens, so I think we got to look at that, of the United States, and let's look at that comma too, was unfairly discriminatory and thus unconstitutional in violation of the Equal Protection Clause. This is a great sentence. There are just a couple of things. Because we've got the plural here, we don't want to have the article. And that comma, I think if you're going to use the comma there, you should use a comma up here between rule and which. Now, that, there's a little flexibility there. And I understand why you want to use the comma after United States, because it's such a long, complex relative clause. But I think to be consistent, you should probably either have it before and after the relative clause or not at all. And not at all gets pretty confusing. Let's move on to the next one here. But it's very clear. The court held that the rule unconstitutionally discriminated against resident aliens. The court reasoned that a lawfully admitted resident alien qualified as a person within the meaning of the 14th Amendment. I'm going to circle those because I think you should probably capitalize those. But we can talk with Lauren about that. And accordingly, the state should not deny such a person the equal protection of the law. The equal protection of the law. Yeah, okay. I wonder, maybe we don't need that the, but that's okay. As in Yickwo, where the court invalidated a municipal ordinance for its discriminatory enforcement of laundry regulations based on nationality. Beautiful. The court may also deem as discriminatory this law that denies aliens the right to practice as lawyers solely because of their alienage. This is great. The court reasoned that, as determined in Caroline Products Co., classifications of persons based on their race, nationality, or alienage should be subject to close scrutiny, and that the state must have a compelling and constitutionally permissible reason to justify depriving persons of rights based solely on such classifications. I love this. To me, this is very clear. Now, in terms of the legal issues, that's not my strength, but I think it seems very clear as writing. The court found that such compelling justification had not been provided, and here I think we got an extra word here. I would just say by the state in this case. The court distinguished this case from Wamond, where the court had recognized the state's right to maintain and regulate professional standards and character and fitness requisites for lawyers, reasoning that may be an extra one there. Such requisite character and fitness was not dependent on a person's citizenship. I would also say that this, because you've got the ing here, you just need a comma here, not a semicolon, because this is not a complete sentence afterwards. In the instant case, nice, there are no questions about the appellant's character or fitness. Accordingly, this one I would actually use the semicolon there. Accordingly, the court found it unfair that the only basis for disqualification was the appellant's alienage. And that's because, notice, this whole thing now is a complete sentence. Additionally, the court distinguished lawyers from other officers of the court who are required to be citizens, reasoning, and this is beautiful, that lawyers operated independently of the state in the private practice of their profession and had autonomy over the decisions. I would actually put a comma here after decisions, unlike other officers of the court like marshals or court clerks who act, and actually I would add a comma there too. I'm a comma guy, so you got to be careful, but I think it makes sense here. Who act with the authority of the state and are entrusted with government power. I love it. So what I want to tell you here is why do I say that marshals or court clerks should be followed by a comma? And the reason for that is there are two types of relative clauses. There are defining and non-defining relative clauses. Defining relative clauses do not have the comma. And what they're doing is they're going to tell you a sort of a general group, and they're going to narrow down that general group to let you know which ones. So if you say students like pizza, and you can say students who study law like pizza. Now, all of a sudden, you're taking the larger group of students and making it a very specific group. That not all students, just students who study law like pizza. Here, you're talking about marshals or court clerks, and you're not really trying to narrow down any particular group of marshals and court clerks. You're just giving me extra information or non-defining information about them. And in that case, you should have the comma. Well, I hope this was helpful. I tried not to talk too much. This is really nice writing. Bye. Though, and that is, oops, what did I do?